Man, I'm so excited that you're joining me today. And we will be discussing breeding ball pythons a smart way. And what I mean by that is nobody's dumb. People know how to breed ball pythons anyway. But what I'd like to discuss with you is how you can use a platform or different platforms to choose which breeding projects that you'll be pursuing, as well as, looking for different prices and things like that, and maybe figuring out what you'll get before you even get it.
These brothers my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side, CJ Ike, never gotta roll with ice. These brothers my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side, CJ Ike, never gotta roll with ice.
Is it on? Okay. Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Paul of Spheric Reptiles, and I am coming to you today with Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton is our latest pickup. She is a Black Pastel Lavender Albino, and the reason why I'm so excited to get her is, for one, we didn't produce a lot of visuals this year from our first clutch. We're still waiting on another one, but from Laverne, well, actually it was Shirley, right? Yeah, from Shirley, she only gave us one visual. Now, they all of the other babies tested double head for Lavender Albino and Piebald, but I only got one Lavender Albino, and it was a Confusion Leopard, not a blackhead. So what I'm doing, just in letting you know, giving you kind of an insight as to how I'm thinking, when I'm planning, I don't want to make brown snakes. So inevitably, you have to make brown snakes if you want to make other color snakes because you need hets. But in particular, when I'm looking at animals, especially like this Black Pastel Lavender Albino, is I want an animal that will give me not only the pinks, not only the yellows with the red eyes and all that other stuff, kind of like a Hellcat, but I also wanted a lot of whites. And as you see here and on the screen in the photo, that there's a lot of white in between the yellow. So some of that will turn pink and some of that will stay white. And when I breed it to Maximus, our Leopard Confusion Blackhead Lavender Albino Pipe, man, that's a tongue full. Then hopefully we'll make some of these snakes with that blackhead in there and this Black Pastel and end up with some really cool snakes. So that's just a little teaser as to why I got this latest pickup. But more in particular, what I'd like to do is just to really discuss with you, as I'm putting this lid back on, is to discuss with you, just don't be dumb about this. Be smart about it. Like, so breeding ball pythons is pretty easy. Everybody kind of knows how to do it because a lot of people have done it. So there's a lot of information out there. But what there isn't a lot of information out there is about how to select which animals to either pursue to breed or which animals and how to acquire them. Like, where do you get them from? Like, you could say Morph Market, but I'm not going to say that that's the best platform to get them. It is the most popular platform with the most animals on it. They sell a variety of things, so it's kind of like one-stop shopping. But there are other ways you can get it. You can buy your animals off Facebook. You can get in touch with breeders through Instagram. You can go to pet stores. You can go to vending shows or expos or conventions. There's a lot of different places. You can find rescue organizations. There's a lot of places for you to get an animal, and that's to say that you find an animal that you want. Because remember, this is about you and what you want. When you're breeding animals, you're spending your money and you're spending your time. And the worst thing you can do is waste your time and your money and then make something that you don't want. But I'd like to start off with number one is the first thing and the most important thing you need to do is you need to plan to get something that you want. So again, you're the one who matters. So get something that you want and that you want to pursue. And it would be very good if you could make something that's new that you haven't seen. That will give you a little bit more of a good feeling, you know what I'm saying? A good pat on the back if you do well, right? So, and that's not to say that if you breed a classic ball python that you're not doing well. But what I'm saying is, like, if you're going to breed, my number one thing that I always suggest is make something that you haven't seen, because if someone else has it, again, just go buy it from them. So now let's find what you want. I'm gonna use Morph Market to walk you through how I found our latest pickup. Clicking on Morph Market, I'm gonna click on traits right here just so I can see all the ball python traits. And the way I have mine set up is basically in a grid view. You can go here and get thumbnails of pictures and stuff like that, but in particular, I'm looking for a lavender albino that happens to be Black Pastel. So the first thing that I get to when I scroll down will be the double recessive visuals, then the hets, and then lastly the pos hets. I want to go to visuals. So now I'm waiting on my computer to get ready. It's loading because I don't have fiber. But Now it's going to show all of the lavender albinos, but in particular, I'm looking for a particular one. So I'm going to click on genes and traits. There's a drop down and I'm going to type in Black Pastel. And then once I select it, we'll give it a little bit more time. Then it shows me all of the Black Pastel Lavender Albino ball pythons that are available. And I can look down here and see the total number that are available right now, the different price ranges. This is important because you want to get the biggest bang for your buck. And so voila, I needed a female and there's a female. So I click on it and I just want to do a little bit more investigating as to what this animal is. So first, MB Exotics put up a great picture. And there's a description down here that explains exactly what I'm getting, or that I hope I'm getting. It explains the methods of payment that they receive, so that I can see if I can pay it. And then this is the most important part to me: the date of birth and the weight. So I can kind of determine the size of this animal as I look at these pictures from the date of birth and the weight, and then I can get in touch with the seller. Now that you've seen that little video, and I think that's very important for you to know exactly how to search. Like I use Morph Market in this instance, but you can use any other platform or any other social media device, or you can use a show, you can use whatever you want to find your animals. But the key thing is determining what you want, right? So the one thing that I do like about Morph Market, and you can also use Palm Street now to find auctions as well that are immediate. They both are very viable, right? So you can use them for a lot of different things, but the number one thing is you can look at a lot of animals. You can compare the animals to make sure that you're getting your gene recognition or your pattern morph recognition on really good. You can also evaluate the pricing of the animals because you don't want to pay more than you have to. You want to pay enough to get exactly what you want. And then the last thing you can do is you can determine the reputation of the breeder. So you can do that through platforms. You can reach out to the breeder. Just a lot of things. Like we breed, and the number one thing that I want to do is when people ask me a question, I want to answer it because I think that's how you determine credibility. So I would look for that, number one. If you reach out to a person and it takes them 4 or 5 days to get back to you, then they're probably not going to be that reliable on their animals. I mean, that's just the way it works. You know, it's like J.G. Wentworth. Like I said, it's my money and I want what I want now. The next thing that you need to do after you've already determined, what type of animal you want and where you want to get it, now you're watching it to see when the price comes down or whatnot. You're trying to negotiate your price and the delivery of the animal, is you need to evaluate your collection. So I think this is where a lot of new breeders make the mistake. They'll have, 10 different animals and they all have different genes, right? So it's hard to focus on a particular breeding project when your animal pattern morphs are all over the board. So what I'm going to recommend is that you choose 1 or 2 patterns that you want to put together. That's not to say that you can't have triple recessive or you can have a lot of different incomplete dominants, but let's focus on particular pattern morphs and particular recessives because that will give you more success over the long run than not. Because if you start here and there, you'll get your animals, but you'll have to make heads and then you have to breed those heads together and then they might not give you everything. And then so now you got to either genetic test those hets or you have to pair those animals up again. So by looking at your own collection, what you'll be doing in a sense is focusing. So you've already started focusing on what type of animal you want to bring into your project. And now you've kind of started thinking about a project. You looked at your own animal. So what's next? What's next is you got to start planning these things, right? Like you just can't just willy-nilly, hey, I'm going to throw this snake in here, that snake, because you'll either wipe your male out or your females will just it just won't work. Like if you try to put 1 male to 10 animals, it just won't work. That male will be so tired that eventually he'll just start shooting dust and it'll be for nothing. The females will refuse him because now he doesn't come with all the muscle and bravado that he normally should from a very robust male. And then also you don't want to stress your females out by putting in a male that is incapable of breeding. Like Viagra doesn't work for snakes, right? So I haven't tried that, but I'm just saying, oh yeah, do not do that. Do not do that. Don't give your snakes any pills, right? It's crazy. So as you're recording these pairings, what you also want to do is as you start pairing, because some of you will already start pairing, is you want to record every single introduction, you want to record how long you had them in the tub. You want to record visual copulations. You want to record if they're feeding afterwards. You want to take their weights. You want to gather as much information as you can. If you have an ultrasound, you want to record that. I mean, just as you're looking at the screen here, this is our breeding schedule. I don't have the ultrasounds on there, but you can see the animals that we paired. We actually planned this. And this started back in 2024 when we had our first clutches through 2025. And just, you got to record as much as you can, because this is where the power comes to get what you want. If you're specific in your planning, my voice is cracked like crazy, but if you're specific in your planning, then you obviously will get the results that you want. Not saying all the time, but you'll be more likely to get those results. So now you've looked at Morph Market, or you looked at World of Ball Pythons, Instagram, Facebook, you went to a pet store, you went to an expo, you've looked at your own collection, now you've started recording some of these pairings, and so you get your first hatchlings, right? Because you're not doing it to just do nothing, so you get your first hatchlings. You've incubated them, they came out, and you maybe got what you wanted. You maybe got what you wanted, but say you didn't. This is the Crossroad. This is what happens most of the time when you're breeding. So if you breed two visuals, what do you get? You get visuals. If you breed a visual to a het, you should get, when I say visual, I mean a recessive, but you should get 50%. Now, even with incomplete dominance, you should get a flip of the coin, 50% chance of getting what you want every time. That's a visual to a het. If you breed a het to a het, it's going down, it goes down to 25%. If you're looking for a specific male or female, then it goes down to even less than that. It goes down to 12.5%. So you can see if you breed pos hets, who knows? But the most important thing is now you're running into time versus money. We don't have either. I mean, most people don't have both in excess. Like, we never have time in excess. Some people might have a little bit of excessive money. Some people have a little recessive money. But at the end of the day, this is where the Crossroad comes. So say you don't get what you want. You got two choices. You can either jump back in and breed again, or you can buy. So I think that's what we did when, if you look at on the picture, on the screen again, you can see Dolly Parton, our Black Pastel Lavender Albino. We didn't get what we want. So instead of me just waiting on this next clutch, I thought it's going to take 2 years to grow this female up, at least 2 years. So let me get a head start in getting a juvenile so that I can go ahead and maybe get her up to speed in 1.5 years, right? So that's what you got to do. Sometimes it just costs. That's another mouth to feed. But at the end of the day, it's moving us towards our project. And that's what you got to determine for yourself. You got to determine, if you don't get what you want, then what are you going to do? Are you going to stop? Are you going to buy? Are you going to jump back in and try to breed again? But either way, this is so important. All right. So this is what a lot of people are always asking whenever I look at a Facebook post or an Instagram post, or even some YouTube comments, is what's the pattern morph of my snake, right? So as a breeder, what you want to do is you don't want to have to genetic test everything. Now, we've already genetic tested over 30 animals this year, and I really don't want to do that again, because it definitely costs, even at the lowest level of about 40 to 50 bucks times 30. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So what I'm going to discuss is the Morph Market Calculator next. So the Morph Market Calculator, I think, and I believe the World of Ball Python has one as well, but it's not as thorough as the one on Morph Market. Now, I'm not sponsored by anybody, so I can say whatever I want to say, but I think that the Morph Market Calculator is really good at showing you some examples, and it also shows you which animals have not been produced or at least sold on the Morph Market platform, right? So that's what I think you should do. First off, find your animal, look at the animals that you have, right? So what do I want to pair with the animal that I have? And then you use the Morph Market Calculator to determine what that animal will look like, or even if there is an example available. And just look at the screen and it'll run you right through. All right, so starting back with the Black Pastel Lavender that we picked up, Dolly Parton. I clicked the calculator, and you can see over here, On the right-hand side, there's nothing in there. So I'm gonna start typing in the father's traits, which are a blackhead, then confusion, leopard, lavender, albino, pied. He's a double visual, so I can put that in. And now, as I'm doing this, I'm already trying to wonder in my head, what am I going to make? What will be created, or what are the odds? So you kind of have to know that there's some odds to every combination of genes that you try to stack together. So as you can see right here on the right-hand side, you got all of the genes over there, all of the possible outcomes that are listed. And then if you go over to the left side, you see the probability. See, I'm circling that. And as you scroll down, you can see whatever your percentages are for hitting something. So it starts at the least, and then as you go up higher on this side, on the right column, you can see that there's more traits. So the ones that are hyperlinked are lightly colored, so I'm gonna click on one of these. Let my computer work a little bit. Now I'm getting all of the possible genes for that, but Morph Market just kind of throws them out. So you got to go in here and sort trait count lowest. Now I can see the possible outcome. Then I'm gonna click on this animal and it shows me the blackhead, Black Pastel Lavender Albino. Now that you've seen that, and so you already know how to find your animal, you've looked at your own collection, you've planned it out, you've recorded so many things that, you know, I don't know if you have a Husbandry Pro app, or if you have Clutch, or if you have another type of software, but it's a lot, right? You really need to be specific in that. You've crossed the road, or you didn't. You said, I'm gonna spend time or I'm gonna spend money. You've also figured out how you can now look and find a calculator to determine exactly what you're gonna get. And so the last thing I can tell you is that always have a positive attitude. This should be fun, right? This is really fun for me because I really like snakes. They call me Snake Man P sometimes, you know, call me P Mac the Snake Man. That's a bunch of stuff. I've heard a lot over my time, but the one thing that people always know is that I really care about not just snakes, but animals in general, but I really have an affinity for snakes. It's just something about them that I just really like, and I hope that if you're planning on breeding that you feel the same way. Hopefully I've shared with you something in this video that will help you become a better breeder, more efficient breeder, and a happy breeder. We don't want to see more people getting out of the hobby. Just, you know, it's not good. We want to see more people talking positively about being in the hobby, doing their thing. But again, if you like this video, you know what I'm asking. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button, maybe ask for notifications, but more importantly, give me your comments, because your input actually directly helps make these videos. I mean, without your suggestions and your comments, then I wouldn't know a lot of the times what people want to hear. But if nothing else, guys, enjoy that time that you spend with your reptiles and cherish and love your family while you have them. Thank you.